I'm going to try to kind of make a video about reading and stuff. We will see how that perspective is going to change in the future. So the first principle is that reading ingrains the beliefs of the author into you. It goes something like this. So a book is basically a very condensed experience of the author, a very condensed, very highly edited and constructed in such a way that it's easier to understand than just by talking to them. And faster. Probably the most important part is that a book is a faster way to talk to the person, even though it's kind of one directed conversation with the person. It's still very close to that person sitting with you and him just talking and talking and talking, you listening very carefully and intently. So reading ingrains the beliefs into you, the beliefs of the author. How? When I'm just going to create this argument, for example. Okay, look, how children are formed, how their belief systems, how their perspectives are formed. Most of their perspectives, yes, they are from parents, but there are also other things that influence that. And the easiest way to identify those things is to see how often they have been repeated over time. Repetition is, by definition, ingraining something into your brain. If you repeat, I don't know, picking up a ball 1,000 times, you'll probably be able to do it with your eyes closed if the conditions are exactly the same. The same goes for belief systems, for what you believe in. And a book is a very condensed reinforcement of the beliefs of the author. If that person, for example, believes into something, that kind of belief is going to be there like several times in the book. So when you are kind of reading, that belief is going to always come up several times. And if it repeats enough times, that belief is going to be ingrained into you. That is one of the best and the worst parts about reading. If you are reading something like a communist book, Das Kapital, by... Yeah, if you're reading that, you are probably going to see how communism is good and stuff, but it's important to read the right books. So, an example from my life would be that I am reading Psycho-Cybernetics, a book, and it is mostly about positive thinking and how you need to believe that it's possible, that you can do it, and most of the things that you do or don't do are because of the limitations in your mind. One of the things I realized midway through the book is that the author repeats the same things a lot of times, but it is in such a way that it's kind of different, but it's the same belief. It's the same thing repeated, but it's a thing that's going to be ingrained in your mind. And I'm actually realizing that because sometimes those thoughts from the book actually pop up in my mind, especially when something negative comes up, especially when I'm thinking about something bad. There are just some cues that the author suggested that actually activate those positive things that make me remember stuff, you know? Actually, Hamza, you should probably know about him already. Hamza attributed his almost entire success to reading books. What he said was he would literally just, for several hours a day, more than 100 pages almost, he would just sit there, like put some lo-fi music, get some dark chocolate that is not too sweet, and just get a book and read, you know? He made it so enjoyable that when he was literally reading, he would smile. He loved doing that to that extent. he literally attributed most of his success to reading. And the idea of reading ingrains the beliefs of the author into you. I actually picked up from him. I picked it up because it makes sense. And I also picked it up because it's by Hamza. Most of the things he says, I believe it. You should be reading. You should try to make it enjoyable. You should try to make it fun for you, such that you could actually read a lot every single day. Because if a person wrote a book, and especially if you know the person, especially if they're successful, their beliefs are in the book. And if you read the book, their beliefs is going to be not fully, but in some way ingrained into your mind, that you're going to start attracting similar opportunities. You're going to, I don't know, behave in the same way. You're going to move in the same way through life. Most of the things you do is going to be kind of is going to be simulated. Most of the things that you do is going to be simulated, and most of the things that you do is going to be similar to the authors. And that's the beauty of it. It's exactly that. Books commoditize the experience in such a way that a book can reach an insane amount of scale in the modern days. That's what happened with the printing press. The experience, the knowledge could be transferred in a much easier way than it used to. Since I am trying to convince you that reading is so important, I need to kind of put myself, I need to kind of like step up to the plate as well, you know? I need to raise the bar for myself. I'm not reading 100 pages a day, oh no. I read like 20, 30 max. And I want to be reading 100 pages a day. Why? I'm going to just present to you an argument by Luke Belmar. He said that there are literally multi-billionaires, people who put the game into the books, who put the game, literally the game that you're trying to learn, in those books, and you'd be a fool. You'd be literally a fool not to learn from them. And it's one of the fastest ways to do it. For example, if you are trying to kind of understand the brain of that person and they don't have a book, but they have a lot of content, what you would do is you would try to consume all of their content and kind of derive the framework that they think by from their mind. But if they have a book, it's literally there. There are people, one of the smartest people in the world, wrote books, and by reading them, you are literally learning the game. So I'm just going to try to it again returns to the principle, you remember. It again returns to the priority list, if you remember, which is kind of prioritizing first my job, then learning, only then making videos. So reading is exactly the second point, which is learning. And I want to put in those reading hours into every single day, which is like 1 or 2 hours every day, which would probably be something like 100 pages. That is what I want to do, and I want to be making videos about books in the future as well.